computer.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Corey Thompson from Dice Tower Dish, Above Board TV, Rose Gauntlet, Play to Z Dice, Gen Con, Crafty Games, Three-Headed Monster, Lucky Duck, and various others.
Wow. Oh my God, that was ridiculous. And this is the Podfather of gaming, Stephen Bonacore. Notice how professional that sounds? You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 373, and we're recording it on June 10th, 2025. Board Games Insider, powered by Board Game Geek. Hey, buddy,
Hey,
I really love that intro you just did there, but I'm gonna hope you don't do it every time. That's like,
no, I'm trying to switch it up each time. It's
I
I don't even
don't,
know what I do anymore.
I don't even know that you're part of some of those things that you just said, but that's great.
I'm probably not.
You're over in the Sacramento house, not the
Yep.
Napa Valley place. So what's going on for
Yeah.
you in life?
So, had I talked about it a little bit, had an absolutely amazing retreat at the Napa House of about 25 people from the Brieger Group and Weird Giraffe. They had a design and development retreat, and I'm still thinking about it. I'm still reeling from it. It was so fun. These are such nice people. Absolutely loved the play testing, the prototypes, and some of the published games that we played. It was really fantastic. But now I'm just sort of chilling out after that. I'm in the Sacramento area, getting ready. Tomorrow, I'm going to head down to Los Angeles to visit friends, hang out at Above Board. We've got some exciting things coming up with the studio. So I'll spend probably about a week in Los Angeles. Um, and then after that, I'm getting ready for RageCon in Reno, Nevada. RageCon, it's the Reno Area Games Expo. I am a special guest at RageCon.
Yeah,
Uh, I love saying that because you're not a special guest at
I am
RageCon.
not.
I don't get to say that very often. But basically, I'm just going to be hosting and teaching a bunch of new games, which I really love to do. It's one of my favorite things is to just teach and play games. I'm going to bring out the new game from the designer of Scout. The new one is
Oh
Revolve,
yeah.
and teach that. I'm going to do Schadenfreude, which I really enjoy. Going to do Expressions, which I've been sort of evangelizing for a couple years now, cooperative deduction game, and a couple big Euros that I've really fallen in love with. Inferno from Grand Gamers Guild, and I'm going to do Bomb Busters, which is the Spiel nominee, and Galileo Galilei from Capstone. So it'll be really fun. I enjoy RageCon a lot. It's got a really heavy designer and developer contingent. So I'm going to be at RageCon with Daryl Andrews, who's also a special guest. And then the two of us will head back to the Napa House. And Daryl's going to hang out at the house for around a month. Um, at the end of July. So RageCon is the end of June. I believe it's
Mm-hmm.
June 28th, that
Mm-hmm.
weekend. And then during most of July, we'll be at the Napa House. And the end of July, Daryl's trying to get me to go to Comic-Con. So,
Before
and
Gen
then
Con.
before Gen Con,
Wow.
which they do back up to each other,
Wow.
I will be going to Gen Con. And I'm going to Gen Con early, so hopefully I'll get to see a bunch of people and do
Yeah.
some stuff. It'll be fun. It's going to be a busy
Yeah.
July, August, but a really fun July,
Yeah.
August. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that a lot.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'll be there for the whole entire week, Monday to Monday. So hopefully we'll get together
Nice.
early. If not, that's what I've been doing the last several years, Monday, get there Monday because I come from another thing. So I'm not flying back home for a day to fly out again. So
Got
anyway,
it.
we'll work on Gen Con later. We got stuff to talk about now. Over here, over here at the Podfather of Gaming, over here at the Podfather of Gaming, I am recovering from my last week Las Vegas excursion with
Woo!
Crazy Brother and other people. We did all kinds of bad things, gambled too much, maybe had a little too much
Um,
alcohol, all that kind of fun stuff. Great time. Uh, uh,
Degenerates.
yes. Oh, well, no, yes. Well, my brother is lead degenerate without a doubt. Um, Origins is next week. Leave in a week from today. I will be there. We have to change the recording schedule for next week because of that. And
Always.
I'm going to be disappointed. As I said, not to see Corey. Of course, Ignacy's not
Yeah.
there. By the way, Ignacy, just couldn't make it online today. He wishes everybody the best. So I just want to mention that he'll be back next week, almost certainly. Um, for Origins, I really, really want to tell everybody, reach out to me. Messenger is a good way to get to me. Text if you have my phone number. Let's get a handshake in. Let's talk a little bit. Let's get a drink. Let's get a meal. Whatever is good. I'll be at the Secret Cabal meetup on Friday
Nice.
night. I believe yes, it's Friday
I
night.
got to hang out with Tony Topper for a nice long time at KublaCon. So
Yeah,
I'm jealous. I love the Cabal guys.
Tony. Oh, and you just got to hang out with him this past Kubla?
At KublaCon, yeah.
That's
So only a
cool. Yeah,
couple
because
weeks ago.
we saw him at the last KublaCon a year ago. We all hung out. That was great. He's a great guy. So yeah, hit me up at Origins. Let's go do something. I get back for one day. I get to go to Scotland, going to Edinburgh to do some distilleries and fun stuff like that. Then we get
Wow.
ourselves down to Southampton via London on a train, and we get onto the BGG at Sea, Norway, and we hit Alesund, Mulde, Olden, and Haugesund. Very bad pronunciations, I'm
It
sure.
sounds like such a fun trip. I'm so
It,
jealous.
yep, and it's going to be great. And that's July 1, 2, 3, and 4. So anybody happens to hang out around those cities, definitely look me up. Would love to say hi. Then from there to Dublin and Galway in Ireland for another short one. So it's a 2.5 week trip, which is great. Not quite as long as the 35-day crazy trip, but this is going to be great to be out there. Parts of the world I've never been to, essentially. I mean, I've been in England, but I'm only going to be there to get on a ship. So, but I really haven't been in the any of those other places at all. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But now the news never stops this time. It's like insane. Woke up this morning to
I thought the news stopped.
yeah, I woke up this morning to crazy news. So let's get over to the event deck. So Corey, literally, I get up, but I got up a little late today because I'm still tired from Vegas, as I mentioned.
Sure.
And I'll get into the email. And what do I have? A 1 a.m. email comes in from Asmodee. Asmodee acquires Zombicide IP. So overnight, they've announced Zombicide, a groundbreaking board game range that became a cornerstone of the industry, pioneering the use of crowdfunding in tabletop gaming when it launched in 2012, has since sold over 2 million copies.
Wow. And
They have
this
acquired this.
Yeah, this follows along nicely because Cool Mini had put out a press release a couple weeks ago that, of course, a bunch of their games were acquired by Tabletop Tycoon and Dan Yarrington. But in that announcement, they had said there was a second yet to be announced purchaser who was also purchasing IPs from Cool Mini. And now we know it's Asmodee. And we'd always kind of suspected Asmodee's made sniffing noises, like they're getting back into the acquisition game. We always thought they were involved somehow. I'm both surprised and not surprised that Zombicide is the target. Because if you think Cool Mini, their biggest IPs are Zombicide, maybe Marvel United, things like this. But most of the value of the Zombicide franchise, I think, is tied up in the Marvel license.
Um,
Marvel Zombicide is their top selling Zombicide. I guess there is quite a bit of value to their newest medieval incarnation of Zombicide. But still, it's a complicated IP.
I mean, I see where you're going with that, but I don't really agree that that's like their certainly was their biggest selling Kickstarter. And they sold a crap ton of that. Was it $9 million
Sure.
there? The DC version did not do nearly as well, but then again, Marvel is more popular. I
But
think
not
that
nearly as well, was still like 4 million or
sure,
something.
sure, yeah, it only did 4 million.
Terrible.
To me, Zombicide is much bigger than that. Zombicide is set a standard for this,
Foundationally and historically very important. Of course, I see. Yeah, definitely, you're right.
yeah.
But the current version of Zombicide, which is the selling version of Zombicide, is Marvel.
But IPs like that end up going away. I think Asmodee did not buy it for that, if they can even do that again. I think that they bought it so that they can revitalize Zombicide in various ways. And it is the zombie game to end all zombie game. By far, it's
Yeah.
there's nothing even touches it. So I think this is a very good strategic purchase. We don't know what it went for. That's not been disclosed. But here's the most interesting thing of all
Oh,
about this
yeah.
announcement. Did you notice when I read that that came directly from Asmodee, right? That was their press release, right from their PDF. I did not say the word or letters Simon when I did that. Now, obviously, the acquiree, the person who owned the IP, was Simon, and they sold it to Asmodee. But for some reason, they weren't mentioned at all. I just found that bizarre,
That's
and
weird.
and
And I mean,
I
there was no such carefulness with words with the Board
yeah.
Game Wire version of the story. But of course, it is odd that straight from the press release that it's not said.
Right. So this, but yes, we should mention that this came directly from the Asmodee press release. What I read, plus there's a board game wire story that goes through the whole history of Zombicide and Simon's use of the IP and how it's gone, and they talk about it, Simon. But that's board game wire talking about the history.
Right.
It's not Asmodee or Simon. Neither Asmodee didn't mention Simon, and Simon has not commented yet. Now, the last piece of this, not a puzzle. This is not weird. It's just weird that they didn't mention it. I did reach out to a highly placed source who said they will be talking, they will mention it, in a separate release at some point. So
Sure.
no one's hiding anything. It could be that just Simon just doesn't want to be splashed all over the pages these days because they've had
And
some
I
bad
looked,
press.
there's no official press release on Simon's website as of
Correct.
now.
Right. Exactly. So it's just a very interesting set of circumstances. We have a lot
And
more to go here. But
Simon, yeah, Simon was very proud to splash the previous acquisition, Tabletop Tycoon, all over their. They had their own press release,
sure.
and so
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So the next thing, Corey, you put this in here, and it's an interesting story about Magic the Gathering.
yeah. So this comes from ICB2. Wizards of the Coast has announced a philanthropic secret lair for Magic the Gathering. So the secret lair are a series of um, expansion sets for Magic the Gathering that are not tournament legal, that go kind of outside of the world. Um, so Wizards of the Coast announced Nuestra Magia, a new secret lair drop, which will hit pre-order June 16th. And this is a special secret lair set drop that will benefit the National Association of Latino Arts and Cultures, which is a Texas-based nonprofit dedicated to supporting Latino art and culture. 50% of the proceeds from the set will be donated to NALAC, and artwork for the Secret Lair will be provided by members of the community that they serve. So I think this is a great story. It's going to be a very Latino focused and charity driven set for
That's
Magic the
really cool.
Gathering.
Just really
There's
cool.
also, they said there's going to be two different versions of the drop, one in Spanish and one in Portuguese. And they listed a number of cards. Pardon me. And I'm not
That
going to embarrass myself by trying to pronounce the cards. My Portuguese is absolutely horrible.
I can't believe you can't pronounce these words correctly. You heard me pronouncing Norwegian words so correctly. But anyway,
Oh,
yeah.
you're so
Oh,
horrible at every foreign language, man.
every foreign language. But no, this is really cool, and the set's available in non-foil for $30 and foil for $40. So there's reasonable price points on this stuff too, which is kind of cool. So, uh,
Absolutely.
thanks to them for to Wizards of the Coast for doing that. So our good buddies over at the Dice Tower, they have announced their nominations for the Dice Tower Awards. And Corey,
Oh,
what did we
man.
hear about it?
Well, the nominations are out. And I would go through them, but it would be the entire
Yeah, we won't.
podcast.
Yeah, we
There are
won't go through them.
so many nominations, but I just want to throw out a congratulations to Unconscious Mind, designed by Laskas, Johnny Pack, and Yoma and Antonio Zacks, which is up for Game of the Year and a number of other nominations. It's
Yeah,
really leading with numbers of nominations, and it's been a super popular title.
right.
Um, so it's seven nominations for Unconscious Mind, and no game has previously picked up seven nominations in the 18-year history of the award.
That's pretty amazing. So yeah, congratulations to Johnny Pack, etc., for the unconscious mind. We'll report on the winners, which will be announced at Gen Con. I believe they do a show there
Yep,
to
on
announce them.
August 7th.
There we go. So and there's a lot of categories and a lot of nominees. That's why we just can't go
I
through all of them. It's like
I could go
12 categories, and no,
in
don't,
15 seconds. I
no,
could do Game
no.
of the Year.
No, 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 too many. We can't go through every nomination for every award
Andromeda's
out
Edge,
there.
Bombbuster, Fromage, Harmonies, Lord of the Rings, Duel for Middle Earth, River of Gold, River Valley, Glassworks,
I'm
Rock
gonna
Hard, 1977, SETI, and Unconscious Mind.
I'm gonna
Okay.
I'm gonna fire you. All right. So let's we got so much to talk about. Let's talk about some not so good news here. Spinmaster announced layoffs. And this came out actually, I don't even know if we had this on most of the media that we get it from. We got this from stlawyers.ca, Corey. I mean, like, how did you even find this guy?
It's Sam Mafiru. This was
Sam
referred to me,
Ifiru.
friends and friends of friends. So Spinmaster, the Toronto-based toy and entertainment giant behind Paw Patrol, Hatchimals, and Gabby's Dollhouse, confirmed it has scaled back its staffing levels. Announcement came June 3rd as the company tries to weather mounting global duties, and they're specifically talking about US and Chinese imports and the tariff problem. Multiple impacted employees have contacted Sam Firo to Markin LLP, which is a lawyer group, which is where the news stories come from,
Hmm.
seeking legal advice and severance package reviews. So, Spin Master. Of course, the biggest thing that Spin Master does is IP licensing. And bringing it full circle, they are the group who attached the Marvel license onto Zombicide and the DC license onto the DC version,
Wow.
Deceased.
Well, that's a
So Spin
full.
Master has some layoffs because of just everything happening in the industry. So it's not a surprise, but also not the happiest thing to read.
Exactly, exactly. So, in the ongoing stuff about Diamond Comics, we have several stories here. The first thing is that April, just, a couple months ago, was a very tough month. The total decline since January now is set at $10 million, $10 million value decline for Diamond Comics. And this is on ICV2 based on recent filings. Because remember, this is all being
Yeah, they have to
adjudicated
report
in
everything.
court. Everything's got to be reported. So this is adjudicated in courts for this particular part, and it's a private because it was a private company. April was a tough month for Diamond Comic Distributors bankruptcy, bringing the total decline in the company's net worth since January to over $10 million. The net worth at the end of April was negative $5,224,000 and change, and an
Wow.
amended operating report for January, which Diamond filed in May, corrected the net worth at the end of January from 2,527,000, which it reported in its initial filing in January, to 5,695,000. In round numbers, Diamond's net worth at the end of January was over 5 million. At the end of April, it was over 5 million negative. So, not good times for the Diamond situation, which, as you recall, has been sold to a group that is part of the NECA group, WizKids NECA. It's called Ad Populum, and they now own Diamond Comics, where the
Right.
other portion of Diamond, the the distributor, the game distributor alliance, distribution was sold to Universal in Canada. So this is just more bad stuff happening there. We're going to see how it plays. We still have not heard what the selling price was for any of these assets, which I was hoping somebody would get out there and go through about 1 million documents. Can't we have one of our friends of the show do that for us? Hint,
We're
hint,
very
friends of the show.
lazy.
Yeah, well, we're not lazy, but that's a lot of legal documents to look at.
Well, and an additional Diamond
Mm,
Alliance story
hmm
that is interesting. There's more lawsuits flying around. As you probably recall or are completely confused by, there were lawsuits over the bankruptcy sale of Alliance Distribution. It was originally supposed to be sold to another company called Alliance, which was
Alliance
Alliance
Entertainment, not
Entertainment. They
not to be
won
confused.
the auction. They won the right to buy. Then it was disclosed that Diamond Alliance had secret things they hadn't told anybody. Specifically, they had lost the contract to sell Magic the Gathering, which was a huge impact on the value of the company. So they sued to Alliance Entertainment sued to not have to buy Alliance distribution.
Mhm.
And now we have another part of the story. So these are two articles from ICV2. Alliance Entertainment, who is the group that was going to buy and then sued for the right to not buy, they hired 7 people from Diamond, and this sounds like they poached 7 high-positioned people,
Yep.
including the vice president. Um, so former Diamond Vice President of Sales Mike Schimmel is now the Senior Vice President of Sales at Alliance Entertainment.
Entertainment.
So, yes, the group that got mad because they were going to buy and then found out it didn't have the value they wanted and then sued to not buy has now hired seven
Right.
employees from Diamond
Right.
who they were going to buy.
And because we can't have enough lawsuits going around, um, the new owner of Diamond Comic Distributors, that's Ad Populum, right? The new owner
Right?
of everything that came in and actually bought them, filed a motion in Maryland bankruptcy court seeking a temporary restraining order on Alliance Entertainment, the former potential acquirer that we just talked about, that poached the employees, poached air quotes, adding a new round of litigation around the troubled Diamond bankruptcy. The motion was filed by Sparkle Pop, the entity used by NECA WizKids owner Ad Populum. Okay, that's the company that did do the acquisition to
Because we
acquire.
also need more company
We need more
names.
company names to acquire the comic and merchandise distribution assets of Diamond. Alliance Entertainment and the company that was originally awarded is the company originally awarded both Diamond Comic Distributors and Alliance Game Distributors as the result of the auction of the company assets. Alliance Entertainment terminated the assets purchase agreement and filed suit against Diamond and related parties after discovering that Wizards of the Coast was not an ongoing supplier of Alliance Game Distributors. So, as Corey mentioned, there was a suit that went in one direction, right? From that new acquirer, Alliance Entertainment, the sues Diamond because they didn't disclose all this. Then they poach or they hire. Less poaching is such a bad word. They hire 7 very senior placed people away from the group, and now the new owners of Diamond Comics is suing Alliance Entertainment. So
For
this is like
hiring
a
away these seven
yeah,
people.
this is like a bad. It literally is like a bad soap opera. It's
It
it's
is.
it's really a bad soap opera, and I'm just and I hate to make these judgments, but you got some bad operators, in my opinion, going on here. If all this stuff is going
Well,
on,
there's a lot of very angry people who all are standing to lose a lot of money. So they're gonna sue like crazy trying to make up for what they can.
well, maybe people should just play with their cards on the table. When you got some deals going on, just let's just get this thing done and we'll do it. Everyone's going to be
And that might be part of
happy-ish.
it as well, because this is all happening in bankruptcy court, it's all open. So I'm wondering if stuff like this happens a lot and we just never hear about it because it's behind closed doors.
I don't
But
know.
because of the bankruptcy, everything is very public.
I don't know. I never had business dealings that were this sleazy. It's just so bizarre that so much of this stuff just keeps happening. Um, well, This is not going to end anytime soon, boys and girls. So get ready for the next piece of this, and maybe a nice lawyer type person out there who's a fan of the show can go in there and find out what the selling price was for these assets to Sparkle Pop or whatever the ad populum entity is.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, that is for the news, but I think it just, you know, we're not going to have a small news cycle, I think, for a long time to come, which is why we're so popular, I guess, Corey, right?
Oh, I'm popular for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Corey's a very popular man. All right, everybody, let's get over to strategy and tactics. All right, so Corey, we could take some questions here. Let's do it. Let's do it. We're going to start with a note to prospective and current game designers. This came from a listener in the group, of course, in the forums at Spicy Queso 15. I don't have a name. I think that's the only name that he or she puts up there. And that person was replying to Glenn Slagle, who's at Power Trout. We've mentioned him in the past. And we were talking, I think, at this time about where game designers can get information. Like, how do they find out about this and that and contracts? And he pointed people to a very interesting Discord server. And I wanted to give a shout out here. Spicy Queso said, your friend may get a lot out of joining the Break the Game Discord server and spending time along with 4,000 other designers asking similar questions. So that's a great place to do that. And I'm going to also
Yeah.
put a shout out to uh, Game Tabletop Game Design Association. That's Jeff
Yep.
Engelstein and company. Jeff and oh my God, there's Elizabeth Hargrave is one of the board members there.
It's an amazing good group who are supporting designers, developers, and they're doing simple things like giving advice on contracts and talking about tariffs and how basically acting as a hive mind, as a communal source for a lot of the problems that designers are running into nowadays.
And that's the ttgda.org. I highly recommend any aspiring or even older game designer go there. They do free reviews of contracts. There's all kinds of stuff that you can get there. So between Break My Game Discord server, you can talk directly to the 4,000 designers there, or to the group, you can become a member of the group to support them. It's a really great idea. All right, now to questions. Eric Langenbach, big friend of the show, at
Yeah.
Lagnus on BGG. There has been for a while a bit of micro trend with RPGs based off board game IPs. Terraforming Mars RPG campaign is coming up. Gloomhaven RPG has been funded and will show up along with a few others. As insiders, have you spotted any other small things that board games are spilling over into areas such as these RPGs? And are there any you would like to see? Terraforming Mars, the 6 millimeter miniatures war game, the official Terraforming Mars electric bike, Terraforming Mars the protein bar. Why is there no Terraforming Mars the beer? Well,
That
I w-
seems like a no-brainer.
I say absolutely. I was given a beer at Gen Con several years back. It was called Mars, and there was a picture of Mars on it. And I think this brewery, and I don't remember the brewery. Sorry, I don't remember the person who gave it to me. Sorry, but they had a line of beers like Earth, Venus, Mars. They had a whole solar system of beers, so which is kind of cool. Um,
There was famously that one beer that was brewed in space. Did you ever get
no, I think they cultured
any of that?
yeast. I think they didn't brew the beer. I don't. That's too long of a process.
Yeah,
Did
there was
they?
space involved in some sort of
Yeah.
publicity manner.
Yeah, something like that. No, I did not get any of it. It would cost me more to go up in a ship than to buy that beer, probably. Anyway, so Corey, have you heard of any other trends to
Not
move board game
not at a
IPs?
large
Yeah.
scale, but there's been a lot of other things that are interesting. Catan and Asmodee has done a whole bunch of offshoot products. Catan has an entire company that just does books. And there's a lot of novels set in the universe of Pandemic, of Catan, of Terraforming Mars, even there's
Yep.
books based on Terraforming Mars,
Yep.
which is odd because the board game I think was based on a series of books,
It's based
Red
on
Mars,
the
Green Mars, Blue Mars by
Kim
Kim
Stanley
Stanley
Robinson.
Robinson,
Absolutely is.
who lives, by the way, about 6 miles from where I sit.
Um,
Um,
so yeah,
and
go ahead.
Catan did cookbooks. We've got plushies from lots of companies, which we don't even think of as an offshoot, but it kind of is. We've got art prints. Famously, BGG sells art prints of alternate views by famous artists of a lot of these board games. So there's a lot of strange things, specifically war games, which Eric brought up. There are a lot of war games based on board games, and they do okay. Some hit, some don't, but a lot of this has been done.
Yeah. I think that you mentioned it very well that books of the various types, and I guess hey,
Yeah,
RPG is book based. That's been a spin-off of a lot of things, but uh, some fiction based on all of these IPs has come out, and then there's some various small chocolate Catan and things like that that have happened as
yeah.
well. Um, but I don't think we're going to
I
see a lot.
like the chocolate katana.
Now there is rumor. I'm trying to remember if it was rumor or like we actually reported on it. There's rumor of some movie
Well,
or
there was, yeah.
what's the word you say when you like license it?
You
It's called
option the
option it. Thank
license.
you. You're a
Yeah.
Hollywood guy there. You option something. So did we ever report? Was it allowed to say the thing about what that was optioned? I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
yeah,
it was
we
press
talked about
released.
it.
Many board games were optioned as movies, and looking into it further, the company that optioned those, they tend to collect IPs, and this is actually relatively common in Hollywood
Yep,
that they'll option the rights to movies, and often those movies never show up.
they never
So
show up.
Terraforming Mars was optioned
That's correct. So it's
along with several other very popular IPs.
right.
And it's an odd company that did that.
Yeah,
This came up years ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And Eric wants to thank you, Corey, for sending the above board stuff. I guess that was like 2 years ago. He said he never thanked you. And
Yeah.
within a week of it arriving, his wife wore one of the t-shirts on the photo they
Oh, that's
took of
amazing.
us. Oh, very nice. All right, Kevin,
I just want to throw out there real quick. The production company is Cobalt Knight, which was founded by video game executives Christopher Kaminsky and Christopher Knox, and they optioned the rights
to
to
Terraforming Mars.
Terraforming Mars. And I just want to say that Christopher Kaminsky, who is one of the owners of this company, was my friend Barry's roommate in college.
All roads lead back to Corey Thompson.
It could happen. You never know.
Kevin, who's at KG Steph on BGG. Some games seem to get better and better with subsequent plays or grow on you over time. Other games seem to have the opposite effect. They might start out fun, but then drop off after a few plays. What are general characteristics of your own personal risers or fallers? Any prototypical games, examples of specific games? So the one
That's
game
a
that
really interesting question.
it is a really interesting question, and it's something that that we've kind of answered in the past.
Hmm.
The one game recently, I mean, recently in the last 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, I don't know, that has really changed for me a lot is Arc Nova. Now let me talk about that for a
Huh.
second. Yeah, Arc Nova is always I saw it. I'm like, this is a I see this design. It's very interesting, and I'm like, too many moving parts. I don't want to deal with this. Too much spreadsheet like. And then I started playing it a lot, a little in person and a lot on BGA. And I've been having it's just I find it so chill to like create the zoo for myself as I bring in these exotic animals. And it really is a gorgeous design. I'm gonna just say it like that. Matthias did such an amazing job on interrelating all these things together. Now it is still big and it's still very hard to play physically because all the math is taken care of for you when you play it on BGA. So I'm going to just say like I would love playing that on BGA and I will play it physically and I have as of like a
I
couple
love
times this
playing
year.
it physically. I think it's not too bad to deal with physically.
It's so much math. It's too much math. But anyway, I love that's the one that comes to that has that I was like, okay, yeah, this is good. And then all of a sudden, like, wow, I just really love this game. Anything that comes to mind that you have in that area? Or vice
Well, the
versa?
question is more things that grow on you over
Yep.
time or go away. And one of the characteristics that I think is there is really novel mechanisms tend to peak really hard early. Then other people, other companies, other designers use those mechanisms very effectively, and the original tends to fade. And historically, I've seen it with Machikoro, had a very unique mechanism and was very hot. And then when Space Base Bad Company, uh, My Farm Shop, a lot of these other games that use the same mechanism, then Machikoro tended to fade. And there was a little of that at Dominion, but Dominion's got a very strong cult following.
Yep. Yep.
So it's these new innovative games that tend to
Yeah.
peak and then fall. The slow risers, the ones that do the opposite, where the more you play them, the more they grab onto you. That's harder one to nail down. And I certainly have a lot of these in my repertoire, games that the more I play them over and over and over, and I think the gang kind of sits in there. That
It's
the
going
gang
down for you, so to speak.
it's rising as I play it more
Oh,
and more.
rising. Okay. Okay.
Originally, the gang, and I'll just say it felt very derivative of the crew, and I liked the crew better. The gang was the crew for poker, whereas the crew was for trick taking. And this
I,
mechanism of cooperative trick taking, cooperative card games, where the real meat of the game is not playing the game. The meat of the game is figuring out how the other people are playing the
yeah,
game.
it's a very interesting way of putting it.
That that I think is taking this trend of the original was the crew, and I think the crew is falling. But the new players who are taking this, it's not even a mechanism, taking this genre, this
Yeah.
ethos, and running with it, they're getting really big. So the Lord of the Rings Trick
Yeah.
Taker
Oh, so good.
borrows a lot from the crew, but I think does it better, more intriguing. The IP hits, it
The
really is grabbing.
the IP is yeah, obviously I love the IP as everybody knows, but IP just comes through
Well,
so
that's the big
amazingly.
thing is independent of what love you have for the IP. Because I mean, the Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit, the IP's there, but it's still Trivial
It's
Pursuit.
still,
Um,
it's still crappy.
it's the way they integrated the IP. Even
Yeah,
if you don't love the Lord of the Rings IP, it is felt and integrated throughout by the way they do the mechanisms.
exactly. All right, what do we have next? We have Marko Dobranik from Croatia at Matto78. He's posted for us, friend of the show. Thank you, Marco. What do you think about BGG's Hall of Fame list? More like Hall of Eurogames? And he puts the link there, but I will so let me give the context there. So yeah, BGG recently, early this year, did a Hall of Fame, and it was I think 25 games, and I introduced four of them, I think, because they said they just reached out to various
Yeah, I
celebs,
was on that
notables,
list as
you
well.
right, and they just said, "Would you like these are going to be the games? Would you like to now put a little like 3 minute thing together to talk about it, or 2 minute thing, whatever it was?" And I did. I did it for like a choir, for diplomacy. I took all the old school ones that I really like. Seven Wonders. I just picked a bunch, and then I did them. I did these videos, and they posted them. So I don't. So let me read the rest of the question, then we can do a comment. Would you remove some games on the list or add some? Like Mega Hit for years and Legendary Puerto Rico, or any war game like War of the Ring or Twilight Imperium or Game of Thrones, or maybe Battlestar Galactica. And this comes right from Marco Dobronic. So they had a pick. You're not going to just make a list of 1,000 games because then it's no fun. Then how could you talk about them all? They picked 25 to start. And I assume that every year they'll add 5, 10, maybe 25 more, probably a lot more each year to be
Yeah.
part of this. That's the way I think they're going to do it. And I have no problem with the ones they pick because they're all absolute stellar classic games in various genres. Sure. I mean, I absolutely could see Puerto Rico on the list. I could absolutely see War of the Ring, Twilight Imperium, all those on the list. BSG, whatever. I mean, you can see so many other games on that list. And they will
But
be,
look,
I
to
think.
say that all the time, if you're ever doing a Hall of Fame list, every person has their own personal list of 100 games, and you get all
Yep.
these people together. It's going to be thousands of games that are worthy of some sort of note.
Right.
Um, I think they did a really good job with the 25 they picked as the initial list. I don't really have any big changes.
There you go. Um, a board game family, Will from a board game family. Hey, Will. At game family is his tag on BGG. He says, "Who creates the titles for the podcast?" Uh,
I claim zero responsibility because they are dorky.
they are either funny, enticing, or occasionally odd, but I like them. Well, Will, that is me.
No, I contributed one title.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure that yeah, and let's give credit where credit is due. The early ones were all Mary. Mary is Ignacio's wife, so she's the one who does the posting onto boardgamesinsider.com, and then that via RSS feed gets out to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and every place you want to get a podcast. I do all the work on the video side, meaning I post it and put it up there, and I put the stuff on Board Game Geek as well, um, so that everybody can see this stuff as it happens at a given time each week. But
Yeah.
as of the last 100 or more, 100, 200 of these things, I've been creating the titles, and I try to make them exactly what you're saying: funny, enticing, occasionally odd. I try to pick something in the podcast that stood out. And it can't always be like the one about Asmodee, the one about Asmodee, the one about SEMA. Like, right? You otherwise, like obviously that a lot of these shows have a lot of the big names there.
Yeah.
I mean, this one, who knows? This one could be the one about Zombicide. I don't know. I literally do it, honey. I take a look at everything we
You
talked
do it
about.
1 second before.
I look at everything we talked about. I tell Jake, the editor, hey Jake, we got all the files have been sent to you, and Mary, this is for next Wednesday. Please use this as the title. And then I go back and I look. Okay, there you go. And then we figure it out. So it's not like it's a deep
Well,
thought process.
I am a 12-year-old and I giggled like crazy and I gave the title for episode 348.
Are you serious? I don't remember this guy. What was it?
It's called The One About Cat Boogers.
Oh yes, you did. Oh yes, you did. You dork. I'm trying to remember. I don't even remember uh
The context. I don't remember the
yeah.
context either.
We talked so we talked something, and cat boogers came out, and then you put that was, you said it out loud to me, and I'm using that one. That's it. So good stuff. I love that question. It was silly, just like we are. I hope we are, but I hope we're serious enough that you
It's
guys enjoy the news and you guys enjoy us taking your questions, and you'll continue helping us out. And that question just now from a Joey Larson. I'm sorry, no, that's next week. Sorry, from Will
from
at
Will.
yeah, Board Game Family that he posted on January 23rd. So we're coming up. You post questions now. We're gonna get to them pretty quickly. But now, of course, we're going long and we got to get to play testing.
Woohoo!
Woo! All right, Corey, as usual,
Yes, sir.
brilliant question posted last week.
Oh,
Brilliant.
and they only get better. I have written nearly hundreds of questions now.
Hundreds.
Yeah, there's like eight.
There's like eight more
Uh,
in there that we'll use later.
so the question for this week, uh, what what are your feelings on games with multiple winners? The golden example here is Cosmic Encounters. It's famously a whole bunch of people can win and some people lose. And then how do you feel about games that definitively have one loser and that ends the game, and then everybody else wins? And that is the most famous one there is Crass Carrier, and the English version is called Dealt. So we had a pretty kind audience on this one. I thought there'd be some yelling, some jumping on podiums, but for the most part, everybody was like, "Yeah, that's cool.
It's cool. Yeah.
I'm
Uh,
good with it.
So
Yeah, yeah, it's good."
Emil's E from Latvia. Oh, Emil's, thank you for joining us here. I don't believe he's posted in the past. Maybe he has. He says, I don't mind it. With some games like Cosmic Encounter, it is inherent part of the game. It absolutely is. With some Euro games where scores are low, then a tiebreaker or two are fine because the game is tight. But if two players after 90 plus minutes score 252 points, do we really need a tiebreaker? Share that victory. Yeah, that's a cool way of thinking about it, right?
Yep. Peter Woken, a friend of the channel, put
Yeah.
out an angle I hadn't really thought about. I did say we're not talking about games without tiebreakers, and it's a whole other argument about how do you feel about and tied players share the victory, which, by the way, wrong. So Peter Woken wrote multiple winners is cool with me. One loser and multiple winners happens every time you play a one versus many game. I approve of this. So yeah, it does happen a lot if you have a one v many, and that never even crossed my mind.
Dave Turner says it's so much more fun when I have partners for my victory dance. Oh, well, that's kind of nice. It's like you said, is everyone's being so nice about this? It's like no, like stamping my feet and stuff like that.
At Elena said, multiple winners is okay, though not preferred over one winner
There you go.
or a co-op. All winners is technically multiple winners. So one loser and multiple winners would be okay for a one versus all game. Again, Corey's brain just didn't go there. But other games where this is just one loser and everyone else who participated is less than ideal. Their example is Nana Toridori. Having just one person lose feels like the game fizzles out. It seems weird to cheer that someone is not one of us or to cheer for someone losing. Maybe it's just my culture. I'd rather applaud someone for succeeding than failing. I'd rather play multiple rounds until there is only one winner or determine who has the highest score at the end,
Yep.
i.e., love
Yep.
letter. I kind of feel the same way. I feel a letdown if the trigger for the end of the game is one person loses and then it says, oh, and everybody else wins. Yay.
You, you know
I
what?
don't love that mechanism.
You know what? You have issues. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, I have a
Everybody,
lot of
you have
issues.
you have more issues than the average
You have
newsstand.
no
Yeah.
idea.
It's so funny. I just don't, whatever the rules say. I'm a gamer. I play by the rules. If it says there's going to be multiple winners, awesome. One loser and
Yeah, I
everybody
don't
wins, awesome. I don't care. It's a
I
fun.
don't
To
don't
me,
love the multiple
the
winner thing.
game is the. Sorry about that. The game is the experience. The game is the fun thing. Whatever it is at the
It
end, it
is,
is.
but for me, there's certain things that make a game just a little less fun. Um, and that's one of them.
There you go. There you go.
So
One
Eric
more.
Longne
Oh, okay.
Eric
Go ahead.
Longnebeck, a friend of the channel who we've been
Yep.
talking about a lot, I think is taking your viewpoint here. I am fine with both as long as they're part of the design. Everything from Root to Mansions of Madness are part of both sides of this. I do not approve in games where you have a shared victory because of lack of tiebreakers. So yeah, the lack of tiebreakers, it just I want something. If the game is I see where he's coming from. If the game is targeted as a competitive game, there's going to be a winner. This is how you win. There should be some sort of tiebreaker and not just shared victory.
Yeah, yes, there should be a tiebreaker and a couple if you can, but sometimes you just can't. And then I've had, in my game design, we've
When's
had
the
the
last
issue.
time you read through rules of an Uwe Rosenberg game? There are literally like seven tiebreakers on Uwe Rosenberg games.
Sure, but not every game you can do that. I mean, unless it gets down to and then roll a die. And if that's still tied, roll the die again. I mean,
That's a Games Workshop method.
yeah. Sometimes it's just not possible to extend it to more than
No,
one or
you
two. You
if you
just can't.
make the last tiebreaker turn order, there's no way to tie that. You put a tiebreaker in there that there is no way that it's not definitive.
Yeah, okay, so you roll a die. Okay, big deal. All right, fine. You know
No,
what?
roll a die is
I'm
inherently unsatisfying, but
I'm
turn
get
order.
I'm giving yeah, but sometimes it doesn't matter. Turn order might not matter. If I go before you, did I have an advantage or a disadvantage? Sometimes it's an advantage, sometimes it's a disadvantage. So the turn order doesn't.
It doesn't matter if there's an advantage or not. What matters is if it's
Oh,
a perceived
but
advantage.
so you want basically the designer to lie to you to say like, oh, since you went last in the
No,
turn order, therefore you break the last tie.
I want
Dumb,
an
dumb, 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 dumb,
unarguable,
dumb, dumb, dumb,
definitive
dumb, dumb.
tiebreaker.
Dum 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 dum. One more, and we're moving on. Ron Graves from Canada.
Ah,
Buckaroo. I love his. He's at Buckaroo. Um, Friend of the show too. He's puts many questions. And if we are sitting down and playing a board game together, we are all winners. Yay, Ron! Beautiful. That is me.
kumbaya,
For the
kumbaya.
for the question, multiple winners doesn't bother me. There are some folks in our group that don't like shared wins. So if we can, we avoid those games. Wow, you avoid the game because of, but most games have multiple tiebreakers, so we rarely get shared wins. So there you go. And
We've
it,
talked about this
yeah,
before. Everybody has their own reasons for playing a game. The real motivation might be the winning, the competition. And, for me personally, the real motivation is usually the exploration of the mechanisms, the playing of the game.
right. So Corey, as usual, you're the man. What did you give us for next week?
All right. So it's truth time. I want to
It's
hear what
true.
you
I
guys
love.
really do. This might be embarrassing, but this is what do you really do? How superstitious are you about your dice? Do you have favorite dice? And do you have bad dice that you never use? And then the real test of how superstitious you are, have you ever used your bad dice when you knew that you were trying to do a bad roll? When you knew that you were trying to get a very low roll?
So I have a very serious opinion of this,
Oh,
and
I figured you did.
I, I, I'm sure there are dice that are biased and stuff like that. I mean, because it's a manufacturing thing. To be 100% is
Quite honestly, there's not. If you take the most
it's,
beat up, banged up, chipped, nasty die that you go, this has to be biased, it's like a 1 in 10,000 bias.
okay, right, and I agree. But
It is a
it is a manufacturing process, and it's physical, and it gets beat up. So I agree with you. It's still probably so small that in your roles it won't matter. So my basic premise is it's all of your superstitions are silly. Sorry out there. I love all you guys and girls out there and people. I love you all, but it's silly. Some people in this household, I'm looking at her from far away all the way over there. She refuses like to play some dice because those are bad dice and these. I should ask Paula. She's not really hearing me or she's not listening to me. If she would actually roll one of her bad dice when she wants a low roll or something like that. But she can think about that and give me a yes or a no. But I use I also use the electronic rollers when we're on
sure.
online because I believe in the technology too. Sure, I mean some people say, "Oh my God, this thing always rolls bad. Oh my God, it's so swingy." No, it's still using a randomizer that is random enough to give you over
And
time
there's
true rolls.
computers cannot do random.
No, they can do random enough. Same way that you say 1 in 10,000, they can do random enough.
You know about the lava lamp company?
I don't want to go into a conversation about random in computers right now. Go
There
ahead.
is a company that their entire business is they have a bank of lava lamps and
Oh
they
my
use the
God.
shape and the movement of the lava lamps to seed random numbers
There you go.
because computers can't do random.
All right. Thank you, Corey. I appreciate that extra piece of information.
That's
Remember,
what
I
I'm here for.
remember I was a technologist for many, 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 many years. I understand that they
Well, and I
don't.
figured, given that you were a technologist at the same time lava lamps were popular, you
True.
probably had heard about this.
This is true. I have not heard about this lava lamp
That
thing,
was
but which
such
was
a good dig.
that
Like
was a very
you
good
are,
dig and a great
yes,
segue.
yes. I
So
just want to summarize for people who lost it in the nuanced logic.
here we go.
Steven is old.
Yes, thank you. The nuanced
That's
stuff. So I've given my opinion. There are no bad dice. Dice are fine. The bias is ridiculous. Just play with any die you can pick up. Play with it. Corey, what's your opinion? What do you do? Do you just play with the dice? Whatever.
I I believe in the randomness of the world. So
Yeah,
I believe that dice are random. I also believe in Schrodinger's cards. Cards are completely blank until you
that's
reveal one.
that's we used. I think you're the one who maybe even told me that at first, and I use that all the time now.
Credit me.
Right? When I deal cards out, doesn't matter which pile you grab. Schrodinger's cards. They have no value until you look at them. So it doesn't, and
Yep.
since we've dealt them randomly, what does it matter if I pick up the pile two on over here or the pile? They're random cards. Just pick up the pile of cards. Let's play the game. So
You got it.
what do you guys think? I have already created the thread in the guild on Board Game Geek because Corey is completely technology phobic,
Cannot use computers.
and I've done this for you. Please answer our question. We might take your answer next week. In the meantime, for this very long 1 hour episode almost right now, let's get over to the final scoring. Thank you so much for listening and help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts or watch the best way. Watch our pretty faces on Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. And if you want to be part of this podcast, you can become a member of the Guild on Board Game Geek, then ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, answer our question to you from the playtesting segment, or simply just find the guild and hang out with us, man. It's so easy to do. I mean, there's
We're
discussions. We're
very cool
cool.
people.
We're not we're dorks, but fun dorks. So, and you can talk to us on social media. Why don't you do that? Pick your social media of choice. It could be X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Blue Sky, YouTube, and with the same handle all over the place. It's at Board Games Insider, Portal Games US, Podfather Gaming, Dice Tower Dish, Play to Z Games, Above Board TV, probably 5 more for Corey, but we're not going to go there. Pick the social media of your choice and follow us there. We're active and we talk back directly to you on those channels. And talking about YouTube channels, those are the bread and butter. Those 3 main ones are Portal Game Studio, the Podfather of Gaming, and Above Board TV. At the conventions that we show up and we talk about them all the time, please come up and talk to us. We really, really love doing that. I'll see you all next week at Origins, Corey at RageCon, like right after that. And then we'll see everybody. BGGC, if you're going to be there or a fan in Norway, make sure you say hi to us, to me. And then Gen Con, of course, will both be there. Board Games Insider is professionally edited by Jake Thompson. Jake, you're the man, even if your father's sus. Thank you for being part of the team. Also, that great voice you hear doing the intro, the outro, the in-between segments is Ray Greenlee, my buddy from New Jersey, yo. Ray Greenlee, voiceover.com for your voiceover work. So, Corey, you've put a little info down here in the final notes. What you got over
This is
here?
breaking news, last second news.
Are you serious? Did this just come out?
Yeah, I got these emails while we were
Oh, wow.
recording.
Okay.
So, GAMA, our governing organization for the support of the game manufacturers, as the Game Manufacturers Association, has said that they are sending members and staff to Capitol Hill advocating for zero tariffs on toys and games. And among those, Nicole Brady, president of GAMA, is, as we speak, heading to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
So this is more evidence that I think our current GAMA is doing a pretty good job. We've given GAMA a lot of grief in the past. Even Ignacy is kind of giving a little bit of credit to things that GAMA does. And Ignacy historically has been very anti-GAMA.
Historically.
So historically. So the article is GAMA staff and members from across the country are on Capitol Hill Tuesday and Wednesday, June 10 and 11, meeting up with congressional staffers to lobby for zero tariffs on toys and games. On Wednesday, June 25th, they're collaborating with another coalition of small businesses called We Pay the Tariffs, who are organizing a separate lobby day. And they're going to have more information soon on how you can take part in this effort. So, yeah, good job, GAMA, for taking a more active role and for working for the industry against the tariffs.
That is very cool. And that's literally happening today and tomorrow. We're recording this on June 10th and 11th. So we'll have a report on hopefully meetings that they had and things like that on the next show. But guess what also just came in? Breaking news. This is not as exciting, maybe. Maybe it is. It is from the
Uh-oh.
Embracer group. I get their press releases. So they happen when I happen they
We need to
happen when they
stop
happen.
looking at email.
And I literally just When you said it came in, I said, "Oh, let me go see that I got that," and I did because I'm a member of GAMA too. So I got the GAMA thing. I'm like, "Oh, look at this, Embracer." Lars Wingfors proposed to be elected as executive chair of the board of Embracer, and Phil Rogers appointed the new CEO. So
Now, I was under the assumption that Embracer didn't exist anymore. Hasn't Embracer been disbanded?
it is not correct. So what's happening? So the okay. So we're taking a long time, but this is cool because this is good for everybody to understand. And if you don't understand, I'm sure other people don't. So Embracer Group owned owned Asmodee, owns Middle Earth Enterprises, owns a lot of these IPs and electronic gaming stuff and comic IPs. So that's what they had, sort of three divisions. They kept buying things.
Right.
They spun off Asmodee. They did some funky stuff with
But they've
with their stock.
said that they are spinning off all three.
Yeah, can I finish? Can I finish? They spun off Asmodee after doing some funky things with like reverse stock splits. They will be spinning off um the what's it called? They called it Coffee Stain and Friends.
Which is
That's
Dark Horse Comics.
Dark Horse Comics and all the electronic stuff and those IPs. And the final portion of this is going to be the Middle Earth and Friends, which is a new name. They're changing the name of that one too, and I just can't remember.
Fellowship
We
and
talked
Friends.
Fellowship and Friends. What a great name for that. And that's going to be the final portion of Embracer, I believe. And this part I don't know, that the board and stuff will go with that group. That's my understanding at the moment.
Got it.
This has not finished yet. So they're just now
I think
reestablishing,
that was the short answer is they are dissolving Embracer, not yet.
but not yet. So I'm gonna go a little deeper into this press release for next time. We'll probably talk a little bit about it on the next show too. But
Awesome.
literally just came in. We might as well let you know since we've seen it. And now we've gone stupidly long, but that's fine. I hope you guys enjoy the news, and we will be back next week. Thank you all for being with us. Bye bye.
See you later, everyone.